Does the thought of finding sustainable products in the grocery store overwhelm you, only to find that when you take it home, you have no idea how to prepare it in a sustainable way? Well, you're in the right place.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hey, I'm Kelly, and this is my channel Made to Sustain, where I help promote sustainable food that's made to sustain you and the planet. Today I want to talk about sustainable cooking, what this means, and 8 different ways that you can incorporate sustainable cooking practices into your everyday life. Now, there's not really an industry-wide definition for what sustainable cooking is, but to me, sustainable cooking means the conscious preparation of food. So things like using ingredients that are better for the planet and better for yourself, taking into account the end of use and the end of life of the product, where the ingredients come from, how they nourish you and sustain you throughout the week is all really part of sustainable cooking. Now, the first one might seem a little obvious, but mindful meal planning is the first step that you can take in order to start your journey into more sustainable cooking practices. Mindful meal planning means thinking about what you want to eat. Now, you might be like me and really not like to stick to a list or stick to a routine or be told what to eat at a certain time at a certain day, right? So put a finger down if you've ever been excited to pack your lunch the night before and really unexcited to eat it the day after. I definitely have. This doesn't mean being meticulous about choosing what you're going to eat and when. It's just thinking about how are you going to prepare food for the week, making sure you have enough, and making sure that you've got room for flexibility. This also leads into tip number 2, which is smart shopping habits. Now, this tip is really twofold. It's about being mindful about your meal planning, making sure you're not buying too much so you don't throw out as much, right? Or dispose of too much, right? Which is essentially money down the drain, not good for your wallet, not good for the planet. It's lose-lose for everybody. But it also means making sure that you're looking at buying lower impact ingredients. Now, if you want to know what lower impact ingredients are, we've got a checklist down below that you can click on, and we'll send it right to you. Make sure you look for that in the description below. Having smart shopping practices are the second step into getting more sustainable cooking practices. You have to be prepared in order to prepare yourself for the week. If that sounds complicated, it's really not. Stick around till the end. By combining your shopping habits with your meal plan for the week, you'll have a streamlined grocery list that'll help you not buy too much and have a plan for how you're going to use each ingredient that you buy. This also involves things like shopping locally, shopping with the seasons, choosing food that's in season versus not in season, and then looking for things like more environmentally friendly packaging. Definitely make sure you check out our sustainable shopping checklist below. Tip number 3 is about batch cooking. What is batch cooking? Batch cooking is just exactly how it sounds. It's about making a large batch of food all at once. This is where storing and freezing in your meal prep containers are going to be critically important, and it's really going to also fall in line with what's on sale. It's usually what's in season. And this is going to be when freezing food and the proper food storage is going to be critically important. Batch cooking is a huge part of sustainable cooking because this is actually how the food industry prepares its food. If you think about things like pie filling or frozen foods, they'll harvest the foods at peak freshness and then process them and preserve them until you're ready to eat them. So we can do this at home, and we can do this ourselves, just in the form of batch cooking. Tip number 4 is about efficient food storage. Now, you can store food in a lot of different ways, but if you can do it without plastic, that's even better. I know that's not always possible. Things like sous vide and food saver bags are all made from plastic, but if you can avoid them, it's going to be better for the planet in the long run. That plastic film is not able to be recycled. If you're looking for more advice or more tips on the proper food storage containers or what food storage containers I recommend, make sure you subscribe and check it out because we'll be making a video on that soon. Tip number 5 is one of my favorites, and that's to use your leftovers creatively. This is one of my favorite tips because it helps me feel like I'm on my very own version of Chopped, and I have to figure out how to transform a dish with limited ingredients into something brand new. If you want to be a normal person and just eat what you had the day before, that's fine too, but I'm always up for a little bit of a challenge. I love to figure out how to use leftovers creatively. You can check out my whole video on how I transformed all of the Thanksgiving sides into different dishes. I'll link that over here for you. Let me know in the comments below if you have any leftovers you want me to try to create a new dish out of. I absolutely love to do that. It's one of my favorite things to do. Sustainable cooking tip number 6 is about energy efficient cooking methods. I want to be perfectly clear here. This does not mean investing in brand new kitchen equipment. Ways to think about this is just about energy usage, right? So that can look like using a pressure cooker or a slow cooker to cook things that take a long time, like Beans are one of my favorite things to cook in a pressure cooker, rather than taking like 6 hours on the stove, right? 6 hours on the stove is a lot of gas we have to use. It's going to add to your gas and electric bill, where the pressure cooker or the slow cooker is going to use a lot less energy to do that. Tip number 7 is about composting your food scraps. And you don't need a fancy container. I use an old coffee container actually to help me store my food compost. And I like the old coffee container because it actually has that aroma seal that keeps all the odors in. An old coffee canister is one of the best ways that you can store your kitchen compost without investing in a really fancy compost pail. But composting and using up your food scraps in responsible ways, like making stocks or broths, or finding ways to figure out how to incorporate them into your meals. One of the most sustainable cooking practices that you can start incorporating into your sustainable kitchen routine. Whether that's things like making croutons out of your stale bread, making bread pudding out of your stale bread, using those vegetable scraps to make stock or to make soup or anything like that. Those are all great things to start including into your journey for sustainable cooking. The best part about making your own kitchen cleaners is that you can just reuse the bottle and that you don't have to constantly keep buying and throwing out plastic bottles. We've got a glass bottle here that we just refill all the time, and it makes things super easy for us, and we always know what to look for. So to wrap up all of our sustainable cooking tips, we've got the following here, right? Mindful meal planning, making sure that you've got a list prepared before you go grocery shopping and pick out all those sustainable cooking ingredients, which is tip number 2. Then we've got the art of batch cooking, which is a really important skill that mimics what the food industry does, but you can just do it in your own home. Tip number 4 is energy efficient cooking, and that's all about figuring out what's the best way to prepare something with the least amount of energy used. Tip number 5 is about using your leftovers creatively. Make sure you check out some other videos that we have on that, and let me know in the comments below if you have any leftover challenges for me, because I'd love to hear them. Tip number 6 is about efficient food storage, making sure that your containers are eco-friendly. Make sure you subscribe and check out the videos we've got coming up on that soon. Tip number 7 is about composting and using your food scraps responsibly and in creative ways. And then tip number 8 is about making your own cleaning products. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what your favorite sustainable cooking tip is, what surprised you, and which change are you most looking forward to making. The best way that we can make an impact on the planet is to use these tips in mass. So make sure you share this video with a friend or a family member who's also interested in sustainable cooking. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.